Carl here from Games, Brains, and a Headbanging Life, gbhbl.com for short. And it's how easy are the achievements of Yesterday Origins. Bit of a bigger one here. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth here because this is one of the more challenging games that we've covered in this series today. We've kind of been playing around with easier games. Well, here's something that will require a bit more focus, perhaps a guide, particularly regarding certain ones, and certainly some replaying of chapters. It's a game, point and click slash adventure game, one of those that mixes the more modern style of point and click with old school stuff, very narrative driven. It's a fairly substantial game, can take anywhere between 8 to 12 hours, I think, to complete. 12 hours if you're taking your time, particularly regarding certain achievements, and if you're unlucky enough to have to replay it twice fully. And the reason being is because I'll start with these two particular achievements. There are two awkward achievements. One of them is to play the game from beginning to end without skipping a single cinematic. You can skip other things like conversations and elements like that, but you can't skip the cinematics. Now, thankfully, as you play through the game, should you accidentally say slip on your controller, and press like a skip button during the cinematic, you will have to confirm it. So it's pretty. You got a second chance to not do that. That's annoying in itself, and that slows you down as well because obviously when cinematics are playing, it's still got a timer, and that's because another achievement is for speed running it at 250 minutes. Now this is quite generous to a degree, and I was actually able, using a guide, I was actually able to do both in the same playthrough, which was quite a relief. So it is possible to do both in a playthrough, provided you know where you're going. That's really, really important. Now, once upon a time as well, we should mention this game used to have an unobtainable achievement. It was a human calculator one, and this was the last achievement I got in the game. Thankfully, it has been fixed now, and I can confirm I unlocked it, but it was the last achievement I got because it's really freaking awkward. It's a part of the game where you have to get estimates for a plane ticket to London. It's a scene involving two guys and one of your character negotiating a price, and it's about getting estimates for the plane tickets. You can only get three at one time, but basically what you end up having to do is replay that section, getting to a point where it saves, and then going back and redoing it and getting the other estimates and so on. I had a lot of trouble unlocking this, to be fair. It seemed to take more time. I had to do the same thing several times over. Eventually it did unlock, but it's not that it's difficult, it's just awkward, and it's not very clear in the achievement descriptions what it means. Alongside that, these are bog standard ones that you will get as you play through the game, solving puzzles, doing certain things, talking, like asking certain questions. There are certain ones related to just like, conversation trees and things like that. And some of them there are plenty that are missable. I'd say there are almost like all of them are missable to a certain degree, such as like Marbles, which is a master trickery using a maximum of 2 marbles. These are like little mini games, little puzzles that you have to do quite well, things like that. But perhaps the most obvious missable ones are the ones that relate to, and there are several of them, interacting with hotspots and items in different areas. So like all point and clicks, you can interact with items and hotspots, that's the core, where you might like say a thought out loud and things like that, all across the game. And each area has a lot of them. Some of them can be quite tricky to fully find. Some of them, you can easily miss in each particular area. So you've got to be really thorough, really, really thorough, depending upon like where you're looking. Now, thankfully, it is made a little easier by, let's say you did 95% of the hotspots in one area. When you then replay a chapter after the end of the game, that other 5% is all what you need to get. For example, the last one I needed to get was the hotspot and items for the antique shop, which is an area you visit quite early in the game. But utilizing the replay for the chapter select part of things, I was able to simply go back, re-click through everything, and eventually find the game, complete the game. That's about it. Those are the trickiest ones, I think. You've got your story stuff. You've got some that are missable relating to certain characters, but thanks to a chapter select, it's easy enough to do. You've got the hotspot ones and the items, which is tricky because there's quite a lot of them. You've got the 9 different estimates, which is just awkward and a really annoying achievement. It's a really bad one, if I'm honest. And the 2 related to playing the game in a certain way. One without skipping cinematics, and the other in a speed run. All of this does amount to a fairly lengthy amount of time you've got to play this game for, particularly, as I said, if you don't get the speed run one and the same one in the cinematic one. Like I said, I did it. I was using a guide, So I do urge you to do that. And I was able to get both in the same sort of game run, you know. So it is possible. It is possible to kind of do them both. I think that's really, really important as well. So it is a little challenging. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10 just because of the different variations and how you have to play the game and the naughtiness of the hotspot ones, the item looking, and the stupid estimate one. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.